Yo, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. As the title of the video says, today I'll be talking about some of the things that if you come from Africa, when you come to China, some of the things that you find will give you a bit of a culture shock, and you'll find yourself experiencing some weird situations. So without wasting much of your time, that's why I've just listed them over here so that I can go one by one. And this is just from my own opinion and my own experiences, and talking with other people, with other Africans here, and I find these are some of the common things that we are able to point out. So without further ado, number one is people taking photos. This happens in two ways. There are people are requesting photos of you, to take a photo with you, to take a photo of you every time. When you're walking around, someone just comes up to you and asks for a photo. When you go somewhere in a shop or wherever, people are asking for photos, and it's common. It's something so much common that we even get used to it. Even when you're the other way, how people take photos is without you knowing or without you even agreeing for them to take photos. When you're just passing on the street, you see someone snapping a photo of you, or you see someone just recording you as you pass, which can be a little bit annoying, especially if you have not been here for a long time, because you are not used to that kind of just people taking pictures and videos of you. Because even when you enter, maybe you go to the subway station, you enter in the train, you'll notice some people just recording you or just pointing the phone at you. Okay, if you stay here for some time, you'll just get used to that kind of behavior, and you'll not be bothered by it. Because anyway, if you start arguing with people taking photos, I think you will argue with everyone, because the behavior is so common. And anyway, by the way, I forgot before I started going through this list. This is just as I said, it's just a culture shock, or some of the things that you may find weird or a bit, abnormal to what you are used to. So this is not some kind of anti-Chinese propaganda, or maybe judging what they are doing and starting to correct them or suggesting that they should be doing otherwise. I'm just giving an observation of what I see. I'm not going further than that. Okay, about photos, the next thing is you find that when people are communicating, there's a lot of, they raise their voice and they are maybe shouting or yelling. Maybe they are speaking to another person over there. You find it's very common for people to yell and to shout. Even in formal situations, say you're working in an office, someone wants to ask you, maybe pass me that paper or pass me that whatever. You'll find that most of the time they raise their voice higher than, especially if you come from Africa. When someone raises their voice at you, it might be negative. It's taken as being rude, or there's an argument happening, or something of the sort, something like that. But here I find it very common, even when you're just going on the street. You find maybe two Chinese people, they are yelling at each other. You would think there might be a fight about to break out, but I guess, okay, not everyone, but I'm just saying it's very common for people to yell over here. And if you just come from Africa, and maybe you are going in the bus, maybe you are doing something that is not right, and maybe the bus driver just shouts at you. At first, you might find that you might react very negatively. But then after some time, as I said, you get used to some of these behaviors, because because if you start arguing with people and whatever, and then remember you didn't grow up here, so you don't know actually. That's why you are supposed to take a restrained approach. Because some of these people, you don't know, you have not quite understood what they are doing. So, but after some time, that's why I am saying you get used to it, and you understand that is some kind of thing people do. The men, women, children, people here, I find people here shout more than normal. And I have seen some Africans even get into very big arguments, and maybe even some fist fights with some Chinese due to this someone just was doing something, or there's also a language barrier, and maybe you are not even, there's a misunderstanding, and someone starts raising their voice. So, okay, to a foreigner, it might be kind of annoying, but I guess to them, it's something that they are used to. The next thing I'll talk about is, and this, especially if you come from Africa directly and you have not stayed here for some time, is this thing of some people maybe avoiding you, or you go to approach someone and they walk away, or you go to a shop, you see a shop is open, the guy is there on the counter. When you try to approach the shop, you see maybe the person pretends to be busy on the phone, or they walk away, or maybe there's a taxi is just seated on the street. You try to approach them and they just shake their head. Or you're in a supermarket and maybe you are checking out the products, and you try to ask one of the employees, and you see they are just busy, or they just walk away from you. So I know what you are thinking right about now when I have given such a description. And even me, it took me some time to understand why people do that, or what was happening. Of course, let me give in percentages. Like 20% is, I can guess, is what you are thinking. There's some negative things, but I'll say for 80%. Why people do that, people just avoid you, or just shake their head, or just they don't want to talk to you, is because they don't. The main reason, of course, I don't say there are not other negative reasons, but the main and the most common reason is because they don't understand English or any other foreign language, and they are wondering how they communicate with you, and they don't want to cause a situation where there's a misunderstanding, or they just don't want to engage with you because they know it will not end in any productive kind of thing. So that's why at first I was very annoyed by such, not even annoyed, it was like bizarre. Why are people doing this? You just go to a shop, you want to buy a shoe, and you see the person is not even interested. They are just trying to to avoid you. And later I came to learn is because I don't know if they are embarrassed, or maybe they don't know how to engage with you, or maybe because most of the people don't know even a single word of English. So that's why they just, to avoid a lot of whatever, they just avoid you completely. They just don't want to engage with you. The next thing is, I'll talk about table manners. Maybe you are having, of course, when you stay here, you'll have some Chinese friends and whatever, so you go with them to, maybe after some time they'll invite you for dinner, or you go out to eat in a hotel or somewhere. One thing that is very notable, you'll notice immediately, is the way some people eat, especially, let's say, some older people, but even younger people, especially when you go from the south, when you go northwards. As you go northwards, the people become more Chinese. So the one thing that you'll notice, people making, producing noises when they are eating, like eating that way. And I know this, especially like where I come from in Kenya, in Africa. If you do that, people will think it's rude, or you are trying to be arrogant. You're trying to annoy people, or maybe you're trying to imply something, or let's say you're just, it is taken negatively if you do that. Even when they are taking something here, when they are drinking something, let's say something with a soup, or some food containing a soup, you'll find that they are doing that thing, just it's very bothering. You will just notice immediately, but I came later to learn that is some kind of culture. If they don't do that, if you go somewhere and you don't make that noise with your mouth, they take it negatively. They take it that you're not enjoying the food. That is what it means to them. So you have to do that thing. So that's It's just that, as I said, as the title of the video says, it's a culture shock. You find how can people find that attractive? Because even when I was growing up, if you do that, your mother will just smack you in the face if you try to do that. Okay, moving on to the next thing. And before I go on to the next thing, let me just pause a little bit, because I have noted most people watching my videos have not subscribed. So I'm just take this moment and subscribe. The button is just right here. If you are watching, I don't know where it is. It's right here. If you are watching on a mobile device, and the like button is, I guess, over here. Anyway, I don't know how it appears when I edit the video. Maybe I've just messed it up. So just subscribe so that my videos can get recommended and the like. So moving on about table manners, people making noises with their mouth, people and the soup. The next thing you'll notice is people drink hot water every time. After in Africa, when we take food, afterwards you just drink water, or after some time, or even you have not even after food, even during the day, you're just walking, you want some water. Here, instead of taking cold water, even in the summer when it's very hot, people take hot water. And when I say hot water, I mean hot, not warm. I mean hot water, like the one used to make tea or coffee. They drink such kind of hot water. And it's almost everyone is carrying around a flask of hot water, or even if they don't have hot water in it at that moment, they carry it just in case they find somewhere there's a dispenser with hot water, or they go to a hotel, they just ask for hot water to put in the flask. And if you go somewhere, maybe you go to your Chinese friend's house, and you'd start drinking cold water, you can see the reaction of their face. And if you are very close to them, they'll even come to you and tell you, no, don't take cold water. They don't even give a very good reason. They start telling you about stomach upset and whatever. Or if you go to someone's house and you ask for water, could I have some water? You'll be offered very hot water. Which you'll find, which is bizarre. As I said, it's a culture shock. Because they drink hot water even in the summer when the temperatures are very hot, maybe more than 30 degrees Celsius. So that's another thing. The other thing is the toilet situation. This one, I think everyone who comes from Africa to here, they notice this immediately. But I have also seen some people, maybe some Kenyans who I talk to, who are in the Middle East, in the Gulf area countries. I have seen them talk about this on several occasions, about the toilet situation. In the toilet, people use the tissue, and then there's a basket, there's a garbage bin, there's a small basket there that when you use the tissue, you are supposed to throw it in that. You're not supposed to flush it in the toilet. So you're supposed to put it in that small dustbin just next to the toilet where the toilet is. There's a small dustbin. When I came here at first, I was wondering, why is there a small dustbin in the toilet? And then it's full of used tissue papers. So I was just wondering, what is it for? And what happens is when you flush the tissue, I don't know what, because it's everywhere, even in hotels, people's homes, everywhere, residential areas. When you flush the tissue, most likely the toilet will block. And this will happen to you so many times before you get used to it. Especially if you use the very big tissue as we are used to. So if you want the toilet not to block, maybe you try using a very tiny piece of tissue, which is very uncomfortable. So I can say this is some kind of I'm not trying to be to be disgusting or something, because when you are going to the toilet, all those other used tissues are there in that small basket, and it's not covered, because they say that when there's that other dustbin which you step, it opens up and then you can throw, and when you move your foot, it just closes. So they don't use that one. They say when they use that one, because the tissues inside are used, they start to smell. That's why they use the open one. And so if let's say it's a public toilet, it's not a very nice scene to walk into and find a lot of a heap of used tissue papers there. And even if, let's say, it's a toilet that is being used by everyone, men, women, children, you find that even maybe when women, they have maybe done their thing, maybe changing a pad or something, all those tissues, they'll be there, they'll be thrown there, they'll not be flushed down. And this one is everywhere. In a hotel, when you go to someone's house, don't try to flush the tissue, because it will block. This happens so many times before you get used to it. So I can say I was not trying to be disgusting or something. It's just, as I said in the intro, this is just an observation. So maybe for today, those are the things that maybe I can remember very fast. But there are so many things that this culture shock, those tiny things that you experience every day. And it is everywhere. If you move to a new city, you find something else that is a little bit abnormal. But again, as I said, this is my opinion. I'm not trying to judge the Chinese people or their culture, or trying to suggest to them what is good. This is just an observation. So if you have a different opinion, or you have experienced something else, just write there in the comments, and subscribe so that you can get to see more of my videos, because the next one, I think I'll talk about some misconceptions that people have about China. When you're coming from Africa to China, some of the things that you are expecting, and then when you come here, is different. So just subscribe so that whenever I post a new video, you can get to see it. So that's it for today. See you next time. I'm out. Peace.